Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, May 16th, 2017. And, yeah, so, so we were working on our art style, and admittedly, I'm a bit hesitant on it. So I'll show you what I mean. And actually, for that matter, I should open up Blender. Here. So this obviously takes a while to do. Not too bad, but you know, does take a little while. And when we go into our rendered view, this is the kind of effect we're expecting to see after we light map it. The problem that I'm seeing, though, is that this takes quite a bit of work to do, which is fine if it would be good for results, but I'm not entirely convinced it's actually a downgrade compared to this art style. I was hoping that the edge boundaries, which I made intentionally pretty large to make them easier to light map, aren't just causing us troubles. Specifically, my concern is what would happen. Let me get that chat open there. Specifically, what will happen when we want to mix voxel sizes on it. So if you look, okay, good example right here. So if you look at the sign here, the sign is significantly smaller voxels than the fence. That works because everything's flat, so you don't really have a reference for it. If I were to break this voxel up into smaller voxels, most of them will be floating in a space over it. Like if I split it in half, they're only a little bit touching and the rest would be kind of over here. Which is fine, but that might look a little weird. Is this something we want to pursue or not, right? I could see this being a lot better if we made the bevel smaller, even though that'd be harder to manage. Like from the Blender, you know, box select thing, it'd be harder to manage. And then there gets to be a point where we make them small enough that we could have just done it in a material, right? It could have been a shader effect. We don't need to actually model all of that, right? At the same token, too, we've done this, so we're going to be putting it in Unreal Engine 4 and see how it looks in Engine. That's not a concern at this point in time. The question I have now is whether we're going to end up immediately replacing it. I don't know, right? So I guess I'm going to have to ask people as they come in, but although Dur's in the chat, so if he can give his opinion right now, that'd be kind of awesome. Because these are the times you want to have these big grand changes in art style. And once again, I'm sorry for the render issue. Probably gonna have some really bad frame rate until right now. It should be good now. Or not. Just do what? So the comment was just do it, but yeah, I'm not sure do what. So yeah, this is going to go in Unreal Engine 4, so it doesn't matter what we think right now. It's just something we need to think about. So what should we do? Simplify things off and have the voxel effect be a shader effect. Just tiling over a certain period of space. Which would be a lot quicker to do. Liking the way it looks? Okay. It'll definitely be a new art style. People wouldn't have done this in the past. I mean, nothing's entirely new, but it's not something that you'd see a lot of. It definitely doesn't have the normal voxel feel. But it is harder, and I am not sure if it's a downgrade. Anyway, we'll see. So let's flip out of render mode. And let's get back to work. Okay, so orthographic. Switch to face. Come on. So one thing you can do is if you hold the shift down and scroll, instead of zooming in and out, it will actually move you up and down in orthographic mode. The problem, of course, is if you forget to hit shift, then you're getting yourself disoriented. Right. Just remember Minecraft. Thing is, we're not actually going in the Minecraft direction. If we want to go in the Minecraft direction, that would be a big change from here. So, there we are. Oh, need to turn off snapping. So, 0, 0, and then 50 centimeters. Cool, now I go to vertex mode, select the active element here. Come on. What was it again? There we are. Okay, now we do rotation around that of 9 degrees. And I mean, it's not too bad. If I actually want to follow this art style, I could always make a generator for it. But that would be a lot of work for should be not that much effort, or not that much benefit. Select to scan around there, and now we do duplicates 0, 50, 0, and then do active elements here, and then do a 90 degree, negative 90? Weird. Sure, why not? Okay, so now there we are. So if we want to go the Minecraft route, it would be completely different from what we're doing right now. Very different style of voxel art. Come on. Negative 50 centimeters, 0 and 0. And, oh, Unreal Engine hosted me for 17 viewers. Thank you very much, Unreal Engine. So what we're working on right now is we're trying to do a art style for our chessboard level. Okay, so yes, thank you, Unreal. So, this is kind of what we're going for right now in Blender. Sorry for my, my encoder doesn't write like this when I do render at the same time, but kind of see this not quite voxel art style. The plan is to merge that into this. So this is a chessboard level. There is multiple levels, each with a different feel, because it's not just an 8x8 grid for every level. But the plan is to remove this board here. So the only thing that would be left is, well, obviously this background, all the tiles, so all the copper tiles and all the pieces, and the place below would be a voxel-ish grid. Made the quick kill. Boom. Yeah. But there's got to be multiple levels too. We're trying to make the art style somewhat like... I'll wait for a little bit to be done. There we are. Try to make the art style somewhat like this, mixed in with some environment kind of like this. Whereas a bright light on top here where the level kind of drops in, and then you have the various elements around here, and it'll just be a plate kind of like a voxel grid here, and then the tiles appear on top and you play. And it'll be dependent on each level, so here is a much larger level than what we've seen here. Let's actually do a free-for-all. AI. So this is a much larger level than the 8x8 grid of a chessboard. Oh, I accidentally changed my disabled tiles, it looks like. I'm going to need to make these more transparent. So, as you can see, everything goes by around the control range of the king, which is a circle around this big. 8 spaces for default, although you can mess with that with power-ups. And over here is spawn 2, which is a cross, diagonally symmetric. This is spawn 2, and there's a third spawn, as you saw in the intro. All the way over here, where it's a castle, the king and the queen start all the way back here. They move up, and they have access to this detachment right here, or to these units right here. The difference is that the other teams have units scattered throughout the level that they can collect to make their army bigger. Blue team does not. Blue team is stuck with the units they have in their spawn, so they can camp, or they can send a detachment out to go and pick off some of these units before the opponent can pick them off. So maybe they'll have time to get the bishops, but they won't have time to get the rooks, right? Or maybe they'll just rush your castle when you're out. So that is kind of the feel of it. And while we're here, I should probably actually change that mistake I made. So, it's not hovered. So let's see what it used to be. So, enabled. %, okay. Let's bring back to 40%. Now we're gonna do a hot reload. So you'll see it a bit better. Maybe say that helper I should have had as part of the level script, but more you know. So let's go back into cross streams. There we go, that's what I was trying to go for. So if you want to pick up anything, you need to get your king in range of that unit. Any unit can move within any king range to any other king range. So if you have 2 kings, you can actually have 2 control ranges. So you can split your armies up. But the king always has to move with an army. Or the control range if I add... currently the only piece that has control range is a king, but I could add other ones in the future if I wanted to. So if I move this way, I'm going to slowly move towards the knight. The lighting profile has changed too, so I'm going to have to change this. So the colors are a bit messed up. Basically, I had the lighting set up in one way, and then I fixed it. But I haven't changed the post-process volume or the lighting structure for the other levels yet. And now both these are in range. It can't jump outside here because these are out of range, but this one is. And the main reason for this is to prevent the queen from just jumping across the map and killing in like 3 moves, right? It gives you... You don't see exactly what the opponent's control range is, but it gives you an idea to guess of how far it would be. And the idea behind that is that you'll always be able to see what can attack you at any given point in time, right? There's no fog of war. I can go right across the map, as you saw earlier, and see everything that happens. Like this guy's probably, yeah, it's up to here. The queen moved up, so it's slowly moving there. And this other one, okay, so look over there. Probably getting the knights. Ah, it's stuck in the corner. Yeah, I didn't implement pathfinding to the AI solver yet. It's always going in this direction, but if the direction has a curve, then it's just gonna get stuck. Needs more haywire. Do I have any haywire on this? I do. So yeah, that's the idea. And we have a third level as well. Ideally, I can make as many as I want. Let's have a game of it. We haven't played for a little while. This is a very easy level to win at. Fog of War would make things interesting. I disagree. Fog of War in a chess game seems like a bad idea. Oh yeah, so the point of this level is an 11 by 11 grid with a couple of spots that are disabled, and every 10 like full rounds of moves, one row gets entirely exploded. The point of chess games is to have all of the knowledge you need, right? Now that I control center, I'm pretty well good, especially since the AI doesn't know to avoid the edges. It's gonna go boom pretty soon. Come on. Come on. Is the next move or this move? Maybe next move. There we are. So now that knocked off a row, killed a bunch of pieces, and they have less room to move in. And now we gotta... I just gotta keep fighting to keep them outside this ring here. I'm the indiest of indie? What do you mean by that? Yeah, black and green could give me a hard time. I can make a trade, but I don't want to make a trade if I don't need to, right? I'm giving some room to green, but I'm keeping magenta and black away. Is there a place that can move where I don't get screwed? I get eaten here, eaten there, eaten there. I gotta trade. Yep, there's nothing I can do. I have to trade. So who do I want to trade with? I'll knock magenta out if I do that, or I'll keep green at bay if I do that. There we are. Oh, pushed him off. Good. Okay. Now it's just a matter of keeping green and black away. That should work. I don't need to worry about the right because we're all on the left side of the board. And now it's just a matter of making sure black doesn't move anywhere. You can only move there or there. So now I can force it to die. And I win. So we're working on the art style to make it, you know, look kind of like, as I said earlier, this is our thought so far. Kind of see that big kind of bright light up top here. And the board kind of descends down into the void. I need to work on a bit on the corners here. The AI does not know it's going to be an outer band. I didn't implement that yet. I would need to add a hook from the level event to feed to the AI script somehow. I'm not going to bother with that yet. Obviously, we'll do it at some point, but yeah. So the idea is that each level will hopefully descend down into this void. You play it, and so forth. Although I'm not exactly sure I like the art style that we're working on here. As we were talking about earlier. Durs gave his opinion, he says he likes it. Curious what Mir and also some people in Unreal Engine, if you want to go into my chat and discuss, I am definitely open to suggestions. As a matter of fact, the point of this stream is kind of to be interesting and fun. So yeah, talk about really anything. If you want to talk about what you had for dinner that day, even, yep, this is the right place to do it. The goal for the stream was to make an interesting stream. Stop motion, Scott. Yeah, the encoder doesn't like when I, well, the GPU in general doesn't like when I use cycles. Actually, let's try something. I think I'm using the 672 encode, but I might not be, so let's see here. Yeah, my encoder is overloaded. Okay. If I was using the 1080, I could have, you know, it might have been possible for me to do that, but yeah. Okay, so now you select. Why are you selected something? Huh, they had Costco pizza and hot dogs, yeah. So the comment before that was that I should do, for cross streams, I should do more of a idea of the buildings and stuff like that before messing around with the board. I disagree a little bit. That's weird. Why am I seeing through? Ow. There we are. Now I can do that. There we are. My pivot wasn't correct. So now we can see what this looks like when rendered. Again, sorry for the encode. Oh, okay. So the comment was to get the assets first before messing with the board like you did in the chess one. Well, the idea would be that I would take the board and then extrude and stuff like that to make the content. Oh, and what I was actually saying as well, if Mir missed it, before we were talking about the art style, and I'm thinking, after we're going to try this in Unreal Engine, whatever, but I'm thinking this might not actually stick, and it might end up being more close to this here, where the bevel is much thinner. And in that case, we can actually do it with a shader effect. So instead of having the actual geometry for the bevel, it could be flat, box-like material, but then we have parallax mapping and other effects to make the seams look like they're beveled in, even though it's pure shader. If that's the case, then it would be a lot quicker to model. We wouldn't have to do it block by block like we're doing right now. And it would also be a lot more efficient. Because we wouldn't have to worry about as much geometry. It would be all fake in the shader, which we do per pixel lighting anyway, so it's a bit of a stronger shader, but, right? So it should be a bit more efficient if we're ROP bound. Anyway. Wrong one. But we're going to try this for now, because we've been working on this for a little bit. And Dur says he didn't really like it. Well, Dur says he likes this, I mean. Sorry for putting your words in your mouth, Durs. So we're gonna try this for now. Because again, why, you know, go half into something only to find out that's good, right? I gotta do that 64 more times. Sorry, 63 more times. Well, 63 and a half more times. Dirty words are delicious and made of cake. Spelled with a K? Like 2 Ks? Anyway. I mean, yes, cake is spelled with 1 K, but not 2. Okay, now we go. What am I doing? What am I even doing? Here, there. There we go. What? Oh, I accidentally hit scale. Whoops. Right. $24.7 meters. That sounds about right, yeah. So that will be kind of what we're looking at. It'll be a new card style at least. Just don't know. Not getting the same vibe I get from this. So I gotta do that 63 more times. Okay. So we're currently at 47,000 triangles. Probably be 100,000 by the time we're done, which is not bad at all. The vertex count's probably a little, maybe a little messed up, because we can merge a bunch of them. Apparently making your iPod's list slowly turn to Monster Cat Durs. Interesting. Don't blame me, blame the easy licensing structure. Oh, in case people have just joined us, we are actually doing a little bit of a interesting method. So, to be more efficient, we actually have the colors mapped to a 4x4 pixel grid. So we have a 4x4 texture, like a 16 pixel texture, where we stick the UV maps such that the top face is on the lighter shade and the edges are on the darker shade. It kind of fits in there. And that's how our base material is currently calculated. We just feed that texture into Unreal with no interpolation, you know, nearest neighbor. And that's that. So we have enough for 8 variations of voxel colors with a 4x4 texture, which is pretty small, to say the least. Okay, so Durs apparently has a video he wants to show me of me. Wants me to sign into my Google Doc. Yeah, I'll do that. Oh, apparently Durs had a copy of 3 Dot Game Heroes overlaying my stream. Cool, cool. Did I say Durs, not Mirror? Sorry, Mirror. It's been one of those days, I guess. Right now. There we are. Sorry, Mirror. Yeah, so we had this here, and that gives us our variation. So when we create a new voxel, we really just take the material, like the texture wrap, and move it a couple pixels around, so that way it fits in whatever of the pairing we care about. Then I could do 16 variations if I have them flipped, but, you know, because I can do a scale -x, right? Okay, -x. But I don't know why I'd want to have that. Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, if I wanted to in Unreal Engine, I could have it be just one box, right? Like, I could have all of these. Let's see if I could have all of these just be a box and do the edges as a shader effect. Yeah, exactly. I could do that. That's kind of what I suggested earlier with the parallax effect. But I'm not trying to copy them. I'm trying to find an art style. I'm using that as reference. I'm thinking that I like their art style better than the one I'm creating. But Durs seems to like this, so we're going to try this for now. We could just scrap it all together and, you know, do something else, but that will be the future. Especially given how long it's taking to do this. Yeah, this style works for this board, I guess. We'll see. The problem I'm concerned about is, yeah, I'm not sure how I'll scale. That's the problem. If I have to have different features of different size voxels, the bevel will really make it look weird because it'll have a fence floating with nothing underneath, right? Whereas if I use the 3D dot style, then it would be hopefully I'm having fun. Yeah, it's fun, right? It's certainly better than just, you know, staring at a computer screen being like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? You know, just, you know, doing something and failing is better than doing nothing and failing, right? So, yeah, we'll know the limits of what it can and can't do in the near future. I'm just saying right now that it looks like, I would say, I'm not going to scrap it yet. We're going to keep doing it in this direction for now, but I can see the tower starting to lean already. Why not watch it fall? Carrying that metaphor to its conclusion, let's just watch it fall over and have fun with it, right? And maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be good. But I have some doubts. So they say, Mir says, more maps will be nice, and having a second board type for one game mode will be neat. The thing is, though, if I find that it doesn't scale to multiple maps, I'm going to be erasing this and doing that in a consistent style, right? Oh, one thing I didn't say as well is that my plan... well, okay, so Mir says he sees the working level being useful, not for naught. NAUGHT. It's not going to be for naught. There's going to be some benefit that comes out of it. In one way, shape, or form, even if it's just a, hey, that was cool in X, Y, or Z fashion, but let's not do that again, right? As a bonus level, I'm not sure if breaking the art style would really be beneficial. I mean, it could be a screenshot Saturday thing on Twitter or whatever, but so, what I was gonna say as well is, so we have our art style for the, like we have a UI here, right? So when we start the menu here, you know, we have these drop downs and all that sort of stuff. Now we have this art style kind of going into it. Voxel of some sort, maybe not the bevels, but voxel of some sort, or maybe just shader bevels. While we have that art style in play, I'm losing my train of thought. While we have that art style in play, oh yeah, for the menu. I'm thinking that in this case, a 3D menu would actually be better off than a 2D one. So instead of using UMG widgets, when we decide we're going to use UMG widgets for now, of course, and it's going to be that way to the proof of concept in several ways through development. But I'm thinking at some point to actually drop it and have the UI elements actually be 3D objects in the scene, and your, moving the controller or whatever would actually be like, modifying the 3D objects to make it look like an effect of some sort. Like maybe add a glow for the one that you're, or glow in a color effect for this item you're selecting, and so forth. Which would, be a cute little 3D effect. I'm trying to say something, but I'm not trying to word it. So Dur's just put in the chat room, the Games Radar, the coolest and weirdest new mods ever. I'll probably check that out after the stream, because I'm not sure what... You know what? Let's be risky, right? Okay, there we are. So, Sonic Roboblast there. Fistful of Doom. Oh, it's like Fistful of Frags, just in the Doom engine. Ghostbusters. Batman. There's a lot of copyright infringement going on here. Here I was expecting the inappropriate ones, like, you know, adult ones to appear, but nope. Games Radar kept it clean. $62 more times. Sorry to let me down, no. Nope, don't worry. It was a pleasant surprise that it was stream appropriate. That's one of the problems, is sometimes you're not afraid to take your time and do it right to get an art style you want. But if you're taking your time to get an art style you don't want, then what are you doing with your life? You know, instead of doing all 64 of these, I think I'm going to start with these 3 imported in Unreal Engine and see how it responds and behaves. I think it'll be enough of a sample for us to see what it will look like. Let me finish this here. What am I doing? There we are. What? Why did I do that? Only this row. There we are. Can I not copy paste? That's... I was gonna say, that's kind of difficult to grab around, but if I cut out the holes, it'd probably be a lot quicker. Yeah, actually, let's do that. Because you don't have to do it once, right? Good thinking, Durs. I was wondering how I would handle the weird cases of the corner there. Or thinking mirror. Did I say Durs again? right artisanal faces, no? Shoot. Problem will come from selecting the corner, right? Some of these faces overlap with each other, so which one's which? But once we get a proper selection once, then we're good, right? Oh! I can select by material. Oh no, I can't because they're all the same material. Oh. Because I merged the materials into that 4x4 texture. Oh no, that's not something that mentally exhausts me, man. I've done more than that. I don't need to do the overlaps because they're just gonna be invisible anyway. I just need to grab the corners. What am I doing? There we are. Control B, Shift B. One of them was right. I chose the wrong one. What? It'd be so much easier if this is a shader effect. There we are. Okay, so grab there, and we're gonna have it be negative 100 centimeters. Let's do negative 300. There we are. Why did it grab these too? Oh, because if I grab around. Oh. Wait, they're merged? Oh, they have to be merged because they're created, yeah. Okay, so now let's grab. Here. There we are. There we are. Okay, good. Oh, come on. There we are. I just realized they're the same icon. The limit selection and the snap onto itself is the same icon. Because I'm using face selection mode, it'll grab all the vertices, including the ones that are welded to it, but including the ones that are on the faces you don't select. So even though I'm not explicitly moving the face, I'm moving all the vertices of the face, so the face moves with it. Because I'm selecting everything around it. A good example, okay, so a better example would be if I have this here. I'm not moving this face, but I'm moving this vertex, this vertex, this vertex, and this vertex from all the other faces that are moving, so it has to move with it. Same idea is happening to the weird ones over here. I didn't merge the vertices, so they weren't welded, but then I didn't realize until just now that the ones that were originally part of the box are correctly welded. Oh, nope. And then grab -4 meters. 0, 0. Good. And now we're going to save. Okay. Now we need to delete all of the extra squares here. That's the button I'm looking for. Okay, good. It's like, yeah, I can use the select by material. They're all different colors, right? Yeah, because I explicitly mapped them to the texture. This is where a script would sound like it comes in handy. Yeah, but the problem is I didn't have to write the Python script. Right? How long would that take? I've done a script like that before when I was doing a video. I needed to. So I was trying to make a corduroy effect. I think I actually mentioned it in one of the channels. This is a while ago. I was trying to make a corduroy effect, so I decided to just make a use an orthographic projection, have the scale be roughly pixel scale, or be exactly pixel scale. And just have a black bar emissive object be copied every like 4 pixels or so. And it worked, but it took a little while to write the script, like 40 minutes or so. And actually, the funny thing was that the render performance is actually pretty low on it. It was like if I were to actually use it in the viewport, render like OpenGL renderer, it was instant. But if I was using the Cycles viewport, the Cycles renderer, it was taking I think it was like an hour or something just to render it when it was all emissive. So there was something degenerate going on, but. That's more of a concern for the Cycles devs than me. to zoom in a little bit more. I don't actually need to delete these, but why would I have geometry that's invisible in my scene when it's easier to delete it now? And again, if I was actually making an art style, I might even want to invest in the time into making a voxel editor that would output the geometry required for this, but that's not worth it for 3 maps, to say the least. Geometry is math. Math equals homework. Okay then. And we haven't merged our vertices yet, so we're gonna have to do that at some point, but I want to get the shape down first. Because when you merge and you start doing some, moves, then you're gonna have to fight your merge, right? Only weld the vertices that are gonna stay welded. During, production. But yeah, the OpenCL Vulkan story was pretty interesting. So what happened was, yesterday, I was given a press release for this morning that OpenCL 2.2 was going to be released with Spear V 1.2, and it was going to include support for C++. And I mean, C++ in kernel language has been, on and off again for a while. Sickle did it for a while. But this is the one where they released and they're like, hey, it's done. It's here. You can use it. Which is kind of cool, right? It's like, oh, cool. And then in the third paragraph, at the last sentence, they said, what was the actual wording? Just loading up piece perspective here. What was the actual wording? We are working to converge with and leverage the Kronos Vulkan API, merging advanced graphic compute into a single API. Okay, that's an interesting bombshell to drop at the end of a third paragraph, right? So I was like, I might be misunderstanding this, so I sent them an email, and when I wrote my news post, I didn't, draw any reference to it. I'm like, okay, this is this sort of thing. Then I got an email back from them this morning and said, nope, this is exactly what we're trying to say. And they actually gave me another announcement as well. The OpenCL working group has taken the decision to converge its roadmap with Vulkan and use Vulkan as a basis for the next generation of explicit compute APIs. This also provides the opportunity for OpenCL roadmap to merge graphics and compute. So they're actually going to deprecate OpenCL and, well, not really deprecate, but they're going to move it into Vulkan, so you only have one API. That's a pretty big story to just drop in the middle of another press release, right? Yeah, let's see here. Doesn't look like anyone wrote a comment yet. Yeah, I don't know. So that was a pretty big bombshell to just have, drop down in the middle of nowhere. One thing I noted as well was that, yeah, so one of the main things about OpenCL C++ and Sickle, SYCL, is that Did you really like it when we were headed anonymous, Durs? But yeah, so the thing with Sickle is that normally what you have is you have your host code, like your C++ code, and then when you need an OpenCL to access the GPU, you would take source code from somewhere else, some other file, and you would load that as a string or whatever into the driver or a compiler if you're doing it offline. Compile it down to shader code, kernel code, and then inject that into the graphics driver, queue it up with the various function calls and the arguments that you need and the buffers you need, submit the request, and queue the task, and then read the results and write the inputs, read the outputs, back and forth, and you pull buffers in and out of the video card that way, and that's how you do your compute, basically. Single source would be you have, your actual code, and some parts would work on the GPU, some parts work on the CPU, but it's all together as one cohesive application, and it's up to the runtime, or if it's a LLVM-based bytecode or whatever, to decide what runs where. And that's a bit easier because it's kind of more like what you did in the software rendering days, where you just, call out various things to, if you have an AVX or a SSC at the time, extension, then that would help a little bit, but it would all be together in the code, right? So that's interesting. If that single source C++ comes to Vulkan, because in that case, it making an engine in 10 years might end up looking almost exactly like you did back in software rendering days, like for Unreal Engine 1 with software rendering enabled, or the original Quake engine before OpenGL extension was there. Was OpenGL they used, or Glide? I think it was OpenGL 1. And earlier, so Doom and all that sort of stuff. All those engines were software rendered. It could end up looking more like that, which is, one of the things that was a big problem was control. Good example is actually in, maybe I can bring up that image. Yeah, sure, whatever. Come on. Where'd that image go? There we are. Here we go. So there's an issue with Unreal Engine in the past, like DirectX 9. Actually, there's an issue with DirectX 9 in general, not just Unreal Engine. When you do HDR, you weren't able to actually implement any aliasing, even on forward rendering, because you didn't have access to the you couldn't, how do I say this? You couldn't, when you blended the different intensity colors, they would blend to the wrong value. So a good example is actually the original BioShock. Here, see how this looks anti-alias down here, and it slowly goes to not and then back on the same edge. That was an issue with DirectX 9 that just could not be solved. DirectX 10 was supposed to fix it, didn't. Took DirectX 11 to do it. But it eventually got fixed and it's fine, but you can imagine how frustrating it must be for an engine developer to be like, there's a bug in my code base, and it's not in my actual code base, so I can't go to their desk and yell at them. it's in Microsoft's code base or in, you know, the hardware itself or whatever. I just have to hope and pray they fix it, right? You can't imagine how frustrating that would be to not just be like, you know, I just can't fix it. It's in someone else's code base, and I can't have access to it because it's hardware, like an API hardware. Not open source, just a black box you have to kind of hope gives you the right results. And sometimes it doesn't. Sorry, right? So the goal was to... or one of the goals is to have all that control be on the developer side of things, because if bugs like these happen, you can fix them. It's your code. If you don't do the math right, sorry, right? That's your... If you don't do the math right, that's your problem, right? Fix it. But when you're dealing with APIs and you say, like, here's a bunch of geometry, give me the results from it. If it doesn't give you the right results, you're kind of stuck. Then this is mostly fixed with like Vulkan, DirectX 12, and Mantle, because the amount of stuff that's actually fixed function these days is basically nothing. It's like texture units and like rasterization. And rasterization, there's not a whole lot I can do. I mean, there is some things that if you had access to the actual rasterization, multi-sampling, you could do stuff like you could theoretically do stuff like anti-alias and deferred buffers for the edges, keeping track of what the texel should be. So you have to like have, like let's say you're doing 4 times anti-aliasing, you'd have to have all your buffers 4 times, and you just store per fragment. But as far as I know right now, Vulkan and DirectX 12 doesn't tell you which fragment, which subpixel is in a triangle or outside a triangle, so you wouldn't actually know which one to blend. So that's it. This is a tangent anyway. I shouldn't even have to. Yeah. But the point of this is that there are bugs that occur even these days that you just be like, oh, I can't use this feature because it doesn't work. Well, if it was just math, you could just go in there and fix it because it's just math. But then you're giving up some fixed function hardware. Yeah, so that was the point of that. And when you start doing Sickle, they might actually be able to get closer into that, have it be your code, and not just your code that calls this other chunk of code. Even if that other chunk of code is mostly your code as well, right? Well, that chunk of code is your... hard to describe. Long story short, it's interesting for me, and I'm hoping that it will end up creating engines that will still be more like what we had in the past, but somehow still not give up the ROPs, not give up the texture units, still give us that level of control. But if someone wants to implement, let's say, voxels natively, then they could just do software rendering for that directly, right? Instead of having to go and convert to triangles and send that to the ROPs. Anyway, let's get back there, and let's keep going. So we've deleted most of them so far. So back in 2013, I was working on a little software rendering engine that did everything in math. So it would actually bypass all the ROPs and stuff and just compute the barycentric coordinates directly. Which is funny because at the time I thought, because I looked up some OpenGL documentation and they were like, oh, you use Scanline. I'm like, really? These days? Apparently it was just very old documentation. I'm like, well, in that case, I'll use barycentric coordinates. Point and triangle. Apparently that's what they all do anyway. Had some interesting comments on that software rendering demo article I did back in 2013. Slashdot was a bit on the brutal side. That's how it is, though. And it didn't catch my attention during the AMD Analyst Day. There were some things that I was catching, and I was, taking pictures of and stuff like that. But most of my attention was actually on the Vulkan article I was writing at the same time. And I'm not too good at thinking and hearing, or like thinking and hearing at the same time. Multitasking, in some ways I'm really good at multitasking, sometimes I'm really bad at multitasking, so it depends on what it is. So we might actually be done just in time to end the stream. Because after I do this, then merge the vertices, like do this and do the copies and merge vertices and bring in the Unreal Engine, then run out letting build, it should be roughly around 11. And then we'll probably promptly, whoops, erase it and do something else by doing it with flat geometry and a shader. But we won't know until we try. Last thing you want to do is assume. Grab X 4 meters, 400, and then duplicate 0.6 meters, and then so this is what Durs was suggesting I did, or that's right, Mir was it Durs or Mir? I think it was Mir suggesting I did. I think it was Mir. If it was Mir, sorry for calling you Durs again. No, the thing is I need to actually do all the weights at once. Actually, no, I don't. Yeah, I do. Oh, no, I don't. Actually, yeah, there we are. Let's add a vertex group. We're going to call this white cell. Assign. So if I do select, deselect, select. No, that doesn't do it. Crap. It's not what I wanted. Oh, I can use a box deselect. Why do you send them called Zers? Sorry, Mir. But yeah, that was a very interesting post that came up. So I'll get rid of this vertex group and I'll just copy off to the side here. So it'd be 12 meters. 0. There we are. So admittedly, one of the main reasons for choosing this art style was so I would have something that is different. And sometimes different for the sake of different is not necessarily good. -6 meters, there we are. Bum, bum, bum. I could, you know, copy by row, but the problem is selecting it would take so much time that it would be not worth it. So I'll just do it at once. Because it's difficult to select these pieces the way they are, or these tiles the way they are. I strongly think that I'm just going to end up replacing this, but you know, we'll see. Bingo. Grab here, so that's 7 meters, 0, or sorry, 0, 3 meters. There we are. Six meters, 0, 0. So thanks, I think it was Mir again for suggesting I do this. What? Oh. I didn't do a duplicate, I did a grab. What? And yes, Mira, I did check out the anime you showed me earlier. The one with the deer suplex. Saw a bunch of clips on YouTube. Definitely interesting. Showed my girlfriend a couple of them too. I say Mir. I said Mir, right? It was Mir. It's a really weird anime about high school girls, and it's kind of like off the wall zany humor. Nishiju, yeah. Nishijoi? Joey? I don't know. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's hard to tell from Romaji sometimes. Definitely entertaining, especially the character Mai. She's such a troll, and she has such an easy mark. Nishi Zhao? Is that what it is? Seems like Mira is saying it's Nishi Zhao. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Such a troll, such an easy mark. Something I can appreciate. There's one sketch where they play red light, green light. Just like, green light, red light, and just sits down, takes off her shoes, just watches them. Nishijo? What am I doing? I'm trying to make an art style. Hi, Ace Hawk. Welcome to the chat. So I'll show in just a second. The problem is I can't really stop this because it's very difficult to get it back if I screw up. But I'm almost done. So we're trying to come up with a new art style for the... I'll show you in a second. Try to come up with a new art style for the chessboard level. We're also talking about anime for some reason. And that some reason is me. Mir gave me a... Gotta call you again. Mir gave me a recommendation and I watched a couple clips of it on YouTube. Found out that the Blu-ray is actually available in Canada, so I might actually pick it up. Okay, now I can do stuff like that. Box select you, get rid of you. So we're trying to get something like this. So we're kind of a sort of voxel style, not quite. Which I'm thinking of replacing immediately, but hoping to make it look something like, where is it again? Here, like this, with this surrounding for the chessboard level. So we do, let's actually do a save as. Also 1B. So that in our, actually no, let's play a game. So in our chessboard level, is the current chessboard level we have right now. We're trying to replace the board though with something that'd be a bit more interesting. This is not an anime channel. It's a game development stream. So this is the environment we have for the chessboard level. Ah, it's not gonna give me the quick kill anymore. So one thing about this game is that pawns can move forward and backward, left or right, because some levels don't have a forward direction. Yeah, so the idea behind this stream is that hate weaves. Okay. Good to know. Did I just lose there? I think it was a pawn, right? Yeah, it's just a pawn. Good. Okay, so it moved its queen up. Let's see if it takes the bait. It does not. Oh. That'd be dangerous. You know what? Screw it. Get a bloodbath. Pawns can eat backwards. I'm gonna lose my. Oh no, I'm not. I was gonna lose my knight there. Ah. Let's get rid of the rook. I couldn't have gotten a free rook. The pawn would have eaten backwards. This pawn could eat backwards and get the rook there. Pawns can move forward, back, left, or right, and eat any diagonal. They can go backwards, yes. Yeah, this is the point of the game. So, the reason why I had the chessboard level is to be familiar yet somewhat disorienting for chess players. So when they play it, they'll realize quickly that some rules don't quite apply. Because they may not apply to any given level. So this is the chessboard level. Mirror, don't even have chess anymore, flip table. Whereas you have some other levels, like let's say cross streams, which by the way has some lighting issues. I haven't applied the new lighting effects to it, so it's going to look a bit weird. So bear with me. But as you can see, there's 3 spawns in this level. And it's not an 8x8 grid, it's much larger than an 8x8 grid, and not all tiles are valid. So here, the king range extends for all the open tiles. If I want to access the pawns, that's where the knights here, like I can't click on them, I can't select them, I have to move my king over. Again, the colors are a bit weird because I have to change the color, the lighting profile. And slowly these tiles will open up. So I can move my queen up to the edge of the control range here, or there, or I can move the king. Oh, actually I can move this one knight now, but I can't move this one. This one I can. Or I can move the king over one more and have both knights access. So the trade-off on this type of game... The trade-off in this type of game is now you have to, especially for the large levels, you have to consider army size versus mobility, right? Because if you want to move your army anywhere, a king or some other control range piece, which currently is only the king, although I can add a prince or whatever else piece I want at any point in time, has to move with it. Something has to move with it. To give it the control range to, start and end. So how a piece moves is if its start move and its end move are both valid, in range, and so forth, then it can move from point A to point B, ignoring the spaces between. And some pieces, the queen, the rook, and the bishop, can do it recursively, so as long as there's always a space between, then it can keep going in that direction. As you can see from, well, the queen here can go until here, up, stops. Can go into here, up, stops. Can go into there, up, stops. Can go into there, up, stops. The king blocks it, can't go further here. And then from here to there. So you always have that trade-off of, do I want a larger army, so it's more strong, or do I want to have it be more mobile to get to places in the map? And how the map is actually aligned right now is spawn at the 6 o'clock position is here. There's also a spawn at the 3 o'clock position here. And there's another spawn at the 10:30 position here with the king, queen, and a bunch of pieces here. So 4 knights, 4 pawns, and 2 rooks. So this, and it's actually going to probably make it 2 kings, a queen, and so forth to make it a little detachment. So the goal of this guy here is that they have an easy defend choke. They have all the pieces starting, but the other team has way more pieces, but they're scattered around the map. So if they move the king out here, they can get 2 more rooks and 2 pawns. Meanwhile, the other team can do the same on the other side of the map here. Get 2 more pawns and a rook. This map is for up to 3 players, but you can assign it however you want. So it can be 2 players on one team and 1 player on the other. It could be 2 players. So, like, let's say one of the competitive modes for this will be cross spawns. So the 6 o'clock and the 3 o'clock position will be fighting each other, and the castle will be vacant. There will be no third spawn. There's a way to zoom out. Currently, the only way to zoom is from here to there. I have a couple of issues with that. First off, minimap will take a bit more time than I can do on stream, so that's going to be after the initial release. My goal is to initial release on like an itch.io or something, and go from there. And then I'll have a minimap of some sort and other things for that. One of the problems with allowing people to zoom out like this, though, is that the more people zoom out, the less control I have over what the camera can see, which means the worse performance I'll have, right? If I let the camera see the entire level, the performance will drop significantly to like 20 frames per second. Whereas if I can keep the zoom range within reason, then I can keep up like 120 on a GTX 1080 Plus, right? So there is that kind of trade-off. I have VR. I have a Daydream headset for my phone that is technically compatible with Unreal Engine 4. I'm not sure if it works with that, though. One thing I'm hoping... Oh, and there's a couple things as well. I might be subcontracted on a VR project soon. If that's the case, then I would actually have like a Vive or an Oculus. I don't know. Depends on what the person contracting me will get me. And in that case, I would be able to make Check It after the initial release, potentially VR. So it would be like, have you ever seen the Red Alert 2 VR demo? It would be like you'd be hovering over the board, you could be able to move around, and you'd grab the piece with the controller and move it to where it needs to go. That's what I'm hoping to do with VR, but it's not going to happen just yet because I don't have the... unless this happens to magically work, I don't have the resources to do that yet. But my hope is that if Check It takes off, that would be a very interesting way to do VR, where you'd actually see the board, you'd be able to look around, be like, I want to teleport there, see what that guy's doing, teleport there, see what that guy's doing, go back to my army, pick up the piece, move, right? That kind of idea. Actually, I might be able to show part of the... If I mute the audio. Red Alert 2 VR. So it's be kind of a good idea to show what I'm thinking of here. So this shot here where you have the guy's holding a tablet which has his build menu on it, and the air controller is a Vive controller, and he's able to place things with like lasers. That would actually work really well. Weird. Up next. Anyway, that would work very well for VR. I'm thinking similar thing for Check It. Could work out really well. If that's the case, right? So I'm thinking kind of like that for having, select piece, move, and so forth. Should be fun option for it. But as we have right now, it's this here. And the zoom limits from here to there. If I do it in VR, I'd have to find some way of dropping the performance down significantly, because you need to get a really high frame rate to have VR be not motion sick. But, that's stuff we can do. So this is kind of what I originally thought of when I was thinking of Check It. This is the kind of gameplay mechanic I was thinking of. Big levels. But there'd also be a couple of gimmick maps too, like, yeah. So let's say a good gimmick map I showed earlier would be King's Court here. You can see there's a lot of spawns here. I'm not going to play a full game. I already did one early in the stream. So in this map, it's an 11 by 11 grid with up to 8 players. Although you can assign it, like, if you're playing 1 versus 1, it could be, 1 player here, or like 1 player here and like 2 player there, right? Or it could be, 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 player. It's really up to your choice, right? And the gimmick for this one is that every 10 moves, the map shrinks, and any piece on the edge dies. So the goal is you want to rush center as much as possible, because if you get in this range here, you just got to make sure that no one controls. Here. I moved it there so that way the green couldn't sneak in that corner. I'm not going to play a full round, by the way. I think this is the kill round. Maybe next one. No, maybe next one, I guess. Oh, I was off by 2. Huh. Wow, I was really off. Green can sneak in there if it wanted to, but it's not going to. There we are. Now the map got smaller, so now there's less room to play on. And you see how this goes. So that would be a bit of a gimmick map. Get the idea. And right now we're trying to get this level geometry. First blood, yeah. Get this level geometry into the engine. Save, and we're going to do seem remove doubles. So we removed 26,000 vertices. We're not going to save it though. We're going to go to object mode, grab just you, do a export to FBX. Then we're going to go into check it, contents, meshes. Yeah, let's just call it that, whatever. So now we go into Unreal Engine. It's going to freak out, be like, hey, yeah, new mesh. You want to import it? Yes, I do. Import. And now we go into after it's done processing. Yeah, it's actually probably going to be a pretty big one because it's got a lot of geometry. We go into Battle Chessboard. And we can go and grab you, gone. And we can grab all the space boxes. Gone. What's a container? Oh, yeah, okay. Got that. No more wub-wubs. Oh. Sorry. Just in time for Valkyrie. Yay. Oh, yeah, pawns have shades. Because lol. Anyway. Right. But what's going on there? Sure, why not? I don't know what's up with you though. Okay. I think he's confused. Okay. Do 0, 0, 0, but we want it to be offset by 300, 600, 900, 1200. So negative 1200 and 1200. I think that's roughly right. Could be wrong. Looks like I might be slightly wrong. I am wrong by 1 period or half a period. So that would be. Let's actually just double check that by going to top. Yeah, I need to go down by 1 or half a 1. Slow down my camera a little bit. There we are. Okay, now let's expand this a little bit. I think 1225. That's why I should have had of that. So now I need to make a material. We're going to have it be a new material here. New material. test board voxel. And here we're going to have our base color be a texture. Yeah. And then we're going to have this texture sample be... oh, we didn't actually install it yet. Here, we're going to then copy it into our check it content folder. Oh, no, we did. We copied it in there. Okay, so our texture is going to be... There we are. Yep. Save. Come on. Cool. That should be it. And I should be able to assign M-test chessboard. There we are. So there we go. Over here, I'm going to actually mess with the metallic settings 0, specular settings 0, roughness setting 0.5, let's say. Save. There we go. And now we can build our lighting. We're running a bit over time, but that's okay. Hello, welcome to the chat. Oh crap, that was a bad idea. Come on, close. Gotta cancel the lighting build. Because we never actually set the lighting style to it. So let's go into our optimization viewport here, light map density. Yeah, this needs a lot more light map resolution. Oh, we can't even do that. We didn't set the light maps correctly. The tiles, so the plan was to have the tiles and the pieces not be voxel, have them be actual pieces on top. For performance reasons, I can't do this, but if I had, you know, infinite performance, I would actually have them all be purely dynamic and like pop in. So you know, you have the level come down, and then the tiles would appear, and pieces appear on top of them, as if they were proxies for something actually going on, like an actual medieval battle of some sort. Yeah. So the goal was to have those be not voxelized. They was always supposed to be have them be kind of out of place in the environment, like hovering over the environment. Oh dear God, no. I'm looking at a chat. Not really going so well right now. But that's okay because we're about to stop. So I'm just gonna say thanks for watching, and let's see here what this looks like. Whoa, that was an interesting field of view. I'm thinking that I might have to change this concept a little bit. We're gonna keep trying though. Before we undo it, we're going to try changing the light map resolution on this. Well, we're going to create a light map out of this in Blender, and then import it into Unreal Engine, and we'll do that next time. But yeah, this is kind of what the level kind of looks like right now. It actually doesn't look that bad. Performance shouldn't be that bad either, so stat FPS. We're not quite able to keep 120 FPS. Although that might be different if we get static lighting involved. So what do you think of this art style right now? Actually, I'll show you in the actual level. What are my stream hours? Typically, what I do is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, from 9 p.m. Eastern to around 11 p.m. Eastern, although it ends up being usually 9:30 or so before I start. And that's, the typical, stream schedule. I don't usually go away from that, but I might end up doing extras if, necessary. So in game, it'll look like this. So the quick kill, if they move either of these two pawns, then it will, not let you do the quick kill. So what do you think of this art style so far? Kind of bright. What? Oh, didn't notice that. Huh. Well, it killed my queen, so that's good time to stop. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.